Thanksgiving begins a very special time of the year for us. It's the time of peace and reflection, and of getting ready for the new year. One thing we should all be thankful for is that we live in America, where we have the freedom to change things and the opportunity to...
Welcome to the Drunk Turkey Show, starring Big Blue.
Can I say hi, Kim?
Hi. Oh, I love you. You are just like a giant.
Or improvisation.
Lady Liberty just squirted in my face. And when you do drink with a straw, the myth is you get more drunk because you get more air mixed in.
Hi, Maggie.
Like, you know how the fans going like this? It goes, ooh, yeah, when it hits my butthole. Last time I went to Mexico, I stopped by a little stand and the lady had gloves. I was like, lady, take off those gloves. I need that shit.
It wasn't.
I'm drinking beer so you can feel good and like it tastes good. What the hell's the point of this?
And Daniel J.
I got a friend named Jonathan Martinez who's not allowed in the library. Yo puede hablar español cuando yo te mando. You look very handsome tonight, LJ.
Every day, it's an everyday thing. I gotta
wake up. This is excellence.
Y'all watch them every Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. I get to see them every day. I get to see that. They get to see those chicks every day. What's on his face?
And the other ones.
3000, it still sucks. This is Phil J. Fry, and you're listening to the Drunken Turkey Show. Your one stop for this sort of thing. Hit that button, like and subscribe. You know what to do, just like every other podcast.
What's up, everybody? We're on time. Check it out. Welcome back to the Drunk Turkey Show. I'm your host, Daniel J. Alongside with me right now is Big Blue. Hyman will be in shortly. He's out hanging out with Bigfoot in the forest, but he'll be in right now here in a few minutes. Big Blue, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Good day.
That's good, man. I'm glad you're doing all right. It's getting warmer, huh?
Yes, sir. It's nice. The girls already want to be in the pool.
Yeah, it's a little bit too cold for that still. The water's not warm. And so we got a lot of stuff to talk about today, y'all. You know, it was last night when we ended the members only live, which if you're not a member, I highly recommend, becoming one. We do a members only live on Fridays. We'll do a members only chat, for partial of the show. We did a couple of giveaways last night, give away a couple of stickers and some pins, things of that nature. And so, I highly recommend. There's the join button. If you don't find the join button, if you're an Apple user, in the description, it should say the very first couple of words is to join the membership. Click on this, tab, and it'll send you right through. And so, first thing that I want to talk about. Oh, wait a minute, Hyman's back in. How's it going, Hyman?
Chilling, man. I just got home. That's why I was at work.
Dang, dude. Was it how was work, man?
Could have been better. Honestly, it's too hot, man.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about right now. We're talking about how the weather's just changing on us and it's getting warmer. I can imagine where you're at, dude. It's usually about 10 degrees warmer where you're at than where we are.
Yeah, definitely.
So, stay cool, man. Stay cool with safety first and then teamwork. So, a couple of things, a couple of breaking news clips that had occurred earlier today. Apparently, there is an SK serial, the rest of that, out in Oklahoma. 7 bodies, including 2 believed to be missing teens found in Oklahoma. 7 bodies, and one of those bodies was one of the persons they believed to be the actor in this case. 7 bodies, including 2 that police believe belonged to 2 missing teenage girls, have been found in a home in Henrietta, Oklahoma. Earlier Monday, the Oklahoma Highway Patrol issued an endangered missing persons advisory for 2 girls, 14-year-old Ivory Webster and 16-year-old Brittany Brewer, as well as Jesse L. McFadden, 39, a registered sex offender. The 2 teens were last seen on Monday morning in Henrietta, a city about 90 miles from Oklahoma City, and they could have been traveling with McFadden, the advisory said. And so they end up finding their bodies. Henrietta is a small town. It's only got 5,640 people in there. So it kind of tells you that crime will happen in just about everywhere, right?
Yes, sir.
And so, sad situation. We don't know who the identity of the other 4 bodies that were found, but it seems like a very scary situation out there in this area. watch your kids, man. I'm fairly positive that contact was probably made via social media. What do you guys think?
More than likely, it's the easiest way. It's the easiest form.
Yeah.
And kids are so naive to the point where they'll believe the person that they're talking to is who they say they are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And usually ends up not being the case and ends up being something more severe. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the families and the victims. And, it's an unfortunate situation. And one that you really don't, the person that's responsible has passed. It sounds like, at least by his own hand, probably. And if that ends up being the case, there's not really justice in there. And so, thoughts and prayers go out to them.
Yeah. Sure.
Thank you all for being in the live chat. We have 280 of you guys in here. If you guys haven't hit that subscribe button, I encourage you to do so. It'll help us out and it'll get the algorithm going. Also hit that like button.
Or join member. To be a member, you can see Danny play the guitar.
That's true. I was playing the guitar yesterday. So, and Big Blue and Jaime were trying to sing and rap. You won't miss it.
Well, Blue was, not me.
So we have some more news coming a little bit closer to home, so to speak, out in Cleveland, Texas. A family was shot over the weekend by a suspect, 38-year-old Francisco Oropesa. He's a Mexican national who had been reportedly deported twice in 2009, again in 2012, and again in 2016. The story goes in this situation is that the family, the victims, were at their home, and Francisco was outside shooting his AR-style weapon, and the family told him to keep it down. He then went over to the family's house, shot one of, a mother that was out on the front porch, and then entered into the house and began to shoot other people.
Well, the crazy part about it is I watched it on the Spanish channel, right?
Right.
So the surviving victim, the husband, said when he was walking back towards the house, the guy started shooting at him. So as he started running towards his house, his wife came out and she got shot.
Damn.
And I guess he chased him through the house and he got away, but I guess he wasn't able to get anybody out.
Yeah.
So this guy went back in and shot up the family, and he pretty much shot everybody. They're saying it's execution style. They're all shots to the head.
What's it called?
All 5 of them.
There was 5 victims and 5 other people that were there, right? But they weren't injured. Is that true?
There was. I read that under the bodies of some of the women that he shot were their children that survived. They were shielding the kids.
Man, sad situation, man. I also heard from when they were doing the press conference, or one of them at least, I heard that that they have been to his residence multiple times for the same incidents. And they asked him if that's illegal to do, and he said yes and no. He said it all depends which way he's pointing his rifle, like if he's just shooting like targets. And I'm like, dude, that's like isn't it like a residential area?
Yeah, from my understanding, you have to have at least 10 acres.
No, man, you have to have 12 acres.
Oh, did it change?
Yeah, because for hunting, you have to have 12 acres for hunting. So I'm pretty sure it's not, especially like in a residential area, that's straight up illegal, man. Like hardcore.
That is straight up illegal.
It's common sense. You can't be shooting a weapon in your yard knowing that there's houses around.
How does somebody get a hold of a weapon if they're not even from the United States? Like if you're getting called for a home, right? Yeah. And there's a guy shooting a weapon and he has possession of a weapon and not a U.S. citizen.
Well, he was also the owner of that house.
Well, that's insane, dude. I mean, we live close to the border, and I know that there's a lot of folks probably in the live chat that don't understand the dangers behind the border situation. That has come across, and it's not just this situation. There's tons more, kids being sent across by themselves, gang members basically taking kids across so that they can get across, and forcing the parents to pay them in various of ways, not just monetarily. It's an incredible, crazy situation, and it's one that I honestly believe has been brought upon us by certain administrations allowing certain things to go through. and allowing certain loopholes to come through. You know what I'm saying? So, when they had catch and release, and that was a big thing, a lot of gang members, MS-13 members, a lot of cartel members would come across with children that were not their own and say that they were the father or the mother of that child, just because they wouldn't separate them. And that was prior to 2016. And after that, things kind of changed a little bit for a little while. But, it's been an issue. It's been an ongoing issue for as long as I can remember. It's gotten crazier in recent years with, I've gone back down to the border and seen, gas stations full of migrants and illegals that are just all over the place. And then, during the time when, C-19 was a big thing, there was no safety put in place, put it that way.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like when it comes down, like I live in a border town, right? So like, a couple of years back, maybe like 5 or 6 years back, you wouldn't hear nothing about that much crime and then car chases. But man, nowadays it's like every day there's a car chase going through town or going out of town, and it's crazy because some of these people are smuggling other people. They crash and they end up, killing the passengers and all of them. You know what I mean?
No, you're 100%, man. I mean, today I was at the Ford dealership in Bernie, Texas, and a guy came in and he was talking in front of me to my advisor, and he was telling him that his 2019 Ford F-150 was stolen, and apparently F-150s are being targeted in the Rim and La Cantera area of San Antonio. And that there are professionals that are doing this. They're going in there with a fake fob, right? And they're able to reprogram their key fob to work on your truck within 30 seconds from entering into your car, because after there's just a 30-second delay apparently before that alarm goes off. And this vehicle was used to transport 17 illegals inside of it at one point. It was in a high-speed chase that resulted in a crash.
Yep.
And that was news that I was just talking to this, I wasn't even talking to the guy. I was just behind him.
Yeah.
And he was talking to the advisor, and that advisor was saying that this is happening more and more often, and that there's like a professional team that's going out there because, they're able to cut wires. They know which wires to cut. And that in one situation, they cut the wires behind the glove box, which is what leads to the GPS deal. And they were able to cut it out. And in one situation, somebody had his truck stolen. They cut that part out and put it in like an 18-wheeler. And the guy thought that his truck was in Oklahoma when it was down in the valley.
I mean, you don't even have to look that far. Remember that time where the 18-wheeler had multiple people in the back that passed away from the heat?
Yeah. Well, shoot, dude, this just happened like 3 weeks ago, or maybe even a month ago. There was a train that was stopped, and traffic was stopped on Highway 90 between, I want to say it was like Sabinal and San Antonio, Texas, or maybe even Knipp and San Antonio.
Yeah.
And basically what had happened was there was, I want to say, more than 5 people that had passed away from heat exhaustion, and they had to get air life in from San Antonio because there was a bunch of illegals packed in one of the train cars that were passing away. Let's see. We have a $5 super chat from Cynthia. She says, I heard on the news today the victim's family called 911 repeatedly while the neighbor was shooting in his yard, but got no. Yeah, I heard it was at least 5 times that they called.
Like you said earlier, man, the town is a small town. If they called the first time, it shouldn't take them that long to get there.
It shouldn't. I mean, Cleveland, Texas it's not a big area. It's somewhat rural, but at the same time, it's not like acres behind acres between, neighbors and things of that nature.
Yeah.
There should be at least some police presence there, because I think that's where my nephew went to go play baseball. He played baseball down there for one of the colleges.
Yeah.
So they at least have a college force there. Awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And right now there's like I think this guy is still on the loose. I just had his picture up there.
Yeah, wasn't it like 80 grand?
It's 130,000 now.
It went up, right?
Yeah, $130,000 reward.
So they have a search going on, right? I think it went up all the way to like 20 miles radius, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
They think he's still within the the certain community. What do you think? Think he's already booked it?
Oh, for sure, man. I mean,
he's not gone.
It's what, like a 4-hour trip to the border from Cleveland, probably, if that.
Yeah, if that.
If he was smart, he'd probably go through the valley. They're probably closing it off right there between Eagle Pass, Del Rio, and in that area is probably being checked out.
I'm sure they have a lookout right at the border.
They should, but I mean, at the same time, I mean, how easy to cross the border? It's not like they have stops. You know what I'm saying? And then Mexican Border Patrol, what the hell are they trying to stop? Progress? So it's
it's a crazy situation, man. Especially, he went in there and shot 5 victims, ranging from like 8 to like 34.
Yeah,
I believe so.
Yeah, man, it was. Yeah, you're right. I think 8 was the youngest, and the oldest was about 34 years old, I believe. In this article here, it says child of slain Texas mass shooting used to ride bikes with the suspect's child too. So that tells you that that's a very close community. Yeah. That's not a rural area in the country or whatnot. And so, Stephanie comes in and says cops are scared out there. In today's age, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, you have officers that are, getting defunded in certain places. Yep. You have officers being replaced with psychologists or persons that are meant to go in there and verbally try to talk down the situation. I had in my most recent career in sales, I was speaking with a gentleman who was prior military, and he was telling me that I want to say it was his nephew who's prior military. It was MP police, and he was having a hard time finding a job because departments weren't looking for anybody with military experience. They want basically social workers, and not somebody that's going to be willing to go and that has experience in high stress situations like combat. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, and they're also lowering like qualifications, like
because they can't get anybody to join.
So it kind of tells you right there is like unfortunately we're not getting the best that's out there.
Well, it's because there's 2 reasons. I say a lot of people don't want to be cops anymore because everybody's carrying a gun. I see too many instances. They put over somebody for speeding and they get shot at and killed. But just they want to get a speeding ticket. So,
I wouldn't. Go ahead, Jaime.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
What I was going to say is you're not completely wrong there. When I was in law enforcement, open carry in Texas was barely starting, right? And that was not something that we were thrilled about. As much, a lot of folks think that law enforcement, they're mostly, in Texas, you're thinking mostly conservative, and that might be true, but there are certain aspects of the job that you don't want to deal with, and you don't want to deal with untrained people with weapons in hostile situations or high risk situations or high stress situations. And so as in law enforcement, I can tell you that you're probably somewhat on the right path there, Blue. I wouldn't say the term is scared as much as you've looked at certain situations where you have offenders that are committing a crime and an officer ends up having to take that person's life, and then they're being prosecuted even though they were acting in good faith. Yeah,
no, exactly. Like they're being vilified sometimes too. Like when it comes down to social media, everybody with a phone thinks they're lawyers nowadays.
Oh yeah, dude, 100%.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and we have a generation of younger kids that are fairly easily to influence, especially where like if you have a guy that's recording a cop, and even though the cop's not doing anything, kind of vilifying him, right? I mean,
right.
So there's that too.
No, 100%, man. And then you also have kids in today's society thinking that they can do whatever they can or however because they feel that they can't be touched or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? As far as like if an officer comes to somebody who's a minor and they feel that they can say or do or threaten or whatever, and because they're a minor, they can't be arrested or placed in handcuffs. And that's not necessarily true. However, you end up seeing a situation like, for instance, there was one where I saw a video of this boy who was 11 years old wielding a knife at other students, and a school security officer had to take him down. Now, I think he's in the hospital, and they were vilifying that officer. And I saw the video, and I'm like, yo, I understand that this little boy was, bullied or whatnot, but he had 2 knives, one in each hand, and was chasing people trying to stab them. And and the father, and I get he's upset. Anybody would be, his son's in the hospital. But you also have to look at the actions of your child there in that moment. He got very close to stabbing innocent children that were there surrounding him. And that situation could have gone way worse, and, there's no winner in those situations. Everybody's a victim. And even that child who was bullied, there's victims in that situation. His parents are now, have their child 11, 12 years old that's in the hospital fighting for his life. And, and there's a possibility that he was being, bullied and things of that nature. It doesn't mean you go pull out a knife and take it out on innocent people as well. Oh, thank you, Mark. We appreciate that.
What's it called? When the situation with this guy that went to the neighbor, right, and did that to the 5 people, they put out a bulletin, right, that he's armed and dangerous to lock up and stuff.
Yeah. They also put out, I think it was like ABC News or something like that, put out the wrong picture of the wrong person.
Yeah, I saw that, man. I saw that everybody. Yeah, I saw that. That's bad.
Yeah, they put out a picture of some guy from Fort Worth, and they were saying, this is the guy, and it's not the guy. And so
that's scary, man, because there's people that do, pretty much mob justice, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah. Did you see I'm not sure about, I'm not trying to change the subject, but did you see the story that just came out yesterday about it was a YouTube mom that accused this couple of trying to kidnap her daughter.
I saw that. Yeah, for fame.
Yeah. And she's finally getting, I think she's getting sued and something else because
they're prosecuting her.
Yeah, they're prosecuting her for lying.
Like defamation?
Yeah.
False report.
False report.
Man. Yes, she reported
Hispanic couple for attempting to kidnap her children, and they were just grocery shopping apparently. And so, yeah,
that's what I'm saying, man. Like a lot of people are doing some stupid stuff just to get some, likes and views.
Yeah,
for sure, dude. I mean, it's not worth that. I mean, you ruin 2 lives there. You know what I'm saying? You have the possibility of ruining 2 families. You ruin the people that you're accusing of, because in some cases in many cases that's just taken seriously, and people are getting investigated, and then there's rumors, and then things of that nature start boiling up, and people start looking at this family in a weird way. And then you also have the person that said this, she has kids, so now these kids have to deal with her mom going to jail for doing this and being public about it, and now they're gonna have to deal with it probably for the rest of their lives. The stupid actions of their mother. You know what I mean?
Yeah, some people don't think there's consequences, but there sure are. So
dude.
Be very careful.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers go out to all the people that lost their family members this week. It's been a lot of them lately, man.
Yeah, I saw the video of the dad, man. That was heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is, man.
Well, he's actually the stepdad.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But man, it was pretty brutal, man. Like I'm not that kind of guy that gets real emotional, but when you see something like that, the raw, feelings, emotions coming from a person that just lost their, pretty much their family.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
So it's heartbreaking.
Oh, definitely, man. I remember one situation when I was a rookie in law enforcement. This guy lost his life, and he was. I'm not gonna mention names or anything like that, but he was apparently like some sort of government official in Mexico, and the story went that he had busted something he was supposed to keep an eye on for a promotion or something like that, and the cartels found out and took care of him. And remember when I arrived on scene, just hearing the screams of the family as I pulled up was something that still sticks with me. You know what I'm saying? And this was, it'll be like 17 years, probably around this time.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing, man. The cartels do not play around.
Nah. There's reasons. I mean, we live pretty close to Mexico, and there's reasons why there's some cases we don't cover because
there was a case that we were going to cover, but we kind of backed out of that one a little bit. I think we mentioned it, but I don't think we went in full depth.
Yeah. It's not worth.
Yeah,
it's not worth some of those things. You know what I'm saying? We'll just stick to the more high publicity stuff. But because cartels, they don't play around. You know, it is what it is. And so let's look into the next case that we're going to be talking about. And this one is referencing former singer Aaron Carter. His mom had come out recently, about a month ago or so, saying that she felt that there was possibly more to do with this situation as far as maybe perhaps some foul play being involved. And she recently released some pictures of that. And I wanted to kind of look at those pictures and discuss those. Now, be advised, there's nothing, they're a little bit disturbing. I wouldn't say there's no body parts or anything like that, but there are disturbing pictures. So be advised. Let's see. Here in a recent article that just came out today, though, before we look at those pictures, apparently he was losing custody of his son and may have been a reason why it ended up escalating to the situation that it did. Let me pull up some of these pictures. And Blue, being our medical advisor for the stars, let's take a look and you tell me what you see in some of these things. So in this picture here is some clothes. This is a bathtub up here to the right. You have some socks, what appear to be socks up here. And you have another pair that looks like a beanie. You have a sweatshirt and some leggings or warmers. I thought this was a design, but based on the stuff around him, do you guys think that's a stain?
That's definitely. I don't know. I don't know if that's like bowel movement, maybe.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, it looks like it's part of the design, but it's also stained. Like, cause that's it. The leg inside out, and it's not dirty on the inside.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So it looks like he was trying to clean it up or something, but it looks like he had diarrhea.
I mean, when a person passes away, how long does it usually take? Because I know their bowel movement pretty much, comes out, right? Pretty much.
Yeah, a person will lose their anything that they're holding in. Yeah. But he passed away in the tub.
Yeah.
So,
but like, how long after someone's death does it usually happen? Like right away?
It's pretty instant sometimes.
Is it?
I think it takes a little bit of time.
Because that's the case. How long did it take them to get reported and for them to get there?
That's true. Well, he was in there for a while.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people saying right away, but I don't know.
So this is, I believe, his mother, and she's cleaning up something down here.
Wait, don't they have like crime scene cleaners or something like that?
Yeah, but they ruled this as a like. So yeah,
if it's ruled accidental overdose or whatever, like the families have to deal with it.
Yeah. Like either the family cleans it,
or they hire someone.
No. Most of the time, I think the family cleans it, and then if it was so much blood, I think they still have to like pay for somebody like decontaminated or something like that.
Right. Yeah, he was found. But the thing is, he was found in his tub, I believe, with a shirt on too. And that was one of the things that kind of looked suspicious. His losing custody of his son. He it's been well documented that he had struggled with addiction.
Yeah.
It was believed that he was huffing and on certain type of narcotics during or right before he passed, and that he had succumbed to passing out and succumbed to drowning in this water here.
And I think, maybe him losing his son, the custody battle, kind of put him in a deeper depression and using more of the drugs he was addicted to didn't help out. Sometimes when I have friends that lost custody of their kids, and sometimes that's kind of like the last thing that they have, positive thing they have in their life.
Right.
And at that point, nothing else matters.
No, yeah, you're 100%. Like, here's one thing that I will say, though. These towels look like they were placed there so he wouldn't slip when he walks out of the bathtub. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe. I
So
heard that the mom was saying that, like, the personnel that went in there were actually using towels to put down on the floor for them, and that's not right.
Yeah, maybe that is why. That's possible. But if not, if he placed those towels there, that would lead me to believe that he wasn't planning on not coming out of the water.
Yeah. What makes the mom believe it's more than accidental?
I think the fact that he was wearing a chain and he had his shirt on in the bathtub, like she thinks something more nefarious may have happened because he was wearing his clothes, and so I think that's mainly the main reasons, because he was wearing his clothes. And sometimes family members, they just can't perceive to think that somebody would harm themselves, or in my opinion, this could have been an accident. He may have not been attempting to, take his own, and what ended up happening was, he's dealing through some things, he's had a struggle with addiction, and perhaps maybe he did just, succumb to drowning due to being unconscious from the drugs.
No, yeah. And then I know they said that there was no water in his lungs, so he didn't drown, that's for sure, right?
I've seen conflicting things about that. I've seen that they have found water in his lungs, and then I've seen that the autopsy came back that there wasn't water in his lungs. Sheza, oh man, I'm gonna screw this up. Shezabanda. Thank you so much for your $5 or €5 super chat. We appreciate that. It says, hi guys, hope you and your families are well. God bless from the UK. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you.
Families are doing great. Baby, for those that are interested and still want to know, baby's still inside mama. We have
still in the oven.
Yeah, still in the oven. We have a date of May 11th as the day, the final day, is the final countdown. If she doesn't go into labor by then, that is going to be the day. We have everything scheduled up, and so we're looking forward to that. But when it comes to this case, I feel so bad for this family. I feel bad for his mom, man. It could be a situation where she just can't conceive the fact or the thought that her son would harm himself and or succumb to injury by his own hand. You know what I mean? Even if it was accidental. Yeah. Thank you, Alice, for your $4 super sticker. We appreciate that. Thank you.
What's it called? But like, I remember seeing like TikToks that he will make, and he had some really graphic things to say about his brother and whatnot.
Right. Oh, well, there's that. That's the other thing, and I'm glad you mentioned that. The TikToks. Apparently, he had talked about on his TikToks that he was getting death threats, and that was another reason why his mom believed that it was something more nefarious.
Yeah.
I mean, you have that. I mean, it's going to be hard because I think they've cremated his body, so it's not like they can.
Yeah.
Like that evidence is gone. I
mean, I think there was a TikTok also. He was saying that he's not suicidal or nothing like that. After his brother, how can I say it without demonetizing us? Right?
Yeah.
So
you spell it out. And no, we have not talked about Kohberger. That'll be the last thing of discussion. We have a few things to talk about when it comes to him. But no, I hear you, man. it's just a sad situation all the way around. You know, addiction is real, y'all. You know, and it is taking the lives of many.
Do you think the mom's kind of like in somewhat like a like denial that her son was this bad into the addiction?
I mean, that's one of the steps, you know, of acceptance is, you know, anger, denial, hatred, things of that nature, and then it's finally it's acceptance. And so I very much do think that. What do you think, Blue?
Yeah, it's hard to tell because if he died, could have been on drugs. I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Aaron was found in his bathtub on November 5th. April 18th, his cause of death was confirmed accidental drowning with the effects of huffing and taking Xanax. He became incapacitated. This is from this article. He became incapacitated while in the bathtub due to the effects of drugs, which led to his drowning.
Wasn't like Whitney like something like in the same situation?
Who?
Whitney Houston.
Whitney Houston.
Oh yeah, I'm not familiar, but I thought she had to deal with something similar. Yeah.
Yeah, in the bathtub. I think she like, there was like hot water full blast or something. Like kind of like cooked herself in that thing, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're right. But with this one, there would be evidence of like the huffing. You know what I mean? There'd be spray cans. There'd be the bag, at least in his trash can. You know, something like that. So you would be able to determine if that was, you know, a likely outcome. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the bottle of Xanax, obviously, and also his toxicology report, the autopsy would refer those things. So
I'll tell you one thing, man. I've seen a lot of videos where people come out and talk about other people being a certain, you know, thing, and the next thing you know, they're unalived.
That's true too.
That's kind of scary, right?
Yeah, that is, man. That is. But you know,
I remember saw. I don't know if you know who Isaac Cappy was.
I know, man. Who was that?
Well, he came out and said that, you know, a lot of people in the Hollywood were PDF files. PDF.
Oh, yeah.
And what's it called? And then like the next thing you know, supposedly jumped off this bridge. You know?
Yeah.
And
I mean, there was that
real big, like, you know, actors and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of rumors of a lot of things that go on like that.
Yeah.
It's a good way to transition to our next segment, Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So Jeffrey Epstein, apparently his private calendar reveals planned a meeting with Obama admin chief and CIA chief. He is supposedly have passed in 2019. I say supposedly because I don't know, man. Mm-hmm. So this says here, Jeffrey Epstein newly revealed private calendar showed a scheduled meeting with current CIA director. Now, that's pretty big to me.
Yeah,
this meeting was also after. It was before the most recent, you know, situation that he had, but he had been arrested, Epstein, that is, for a situation that happened. Like, I think he was arrested in Mar-a-Lago, and for getting massages or something like that. And that's when Trump like kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago or whatever the case may have been, right? And so, but he had been gone to court. He'd been accused of doing some things with some underage women with massages, and this was after that. These meetings were after that situation that was well public, and people had knew about that situation. And so, current CIA director. I mean, do you think maybe perhaps this is a reason why like a lot of stuff is being withheld from us?
Hell yeah.
Because of the people that are involved?
I mean, the people that have been identified in this schedule kind of thing, right? Like, right. It seems like they're like just middlemen pretty much at this point for higher ups, you know?
Yeah.
Man, this says this.
JP Morgan Chase is in deep water right now.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. We're going to get into that. And that has to do with a little bit of, I think there's a little connection there with Miley Cyrus back when she was underage, and a comment from J.P. Morgan Chase. That kind of leads them to believe that they were aware of his actions. But this says here, new documents which belong to the rich convicted file to Epstein were obtained by the Wall Street Journal, showed planned meetings with a slew of prominent individuals, including now CIA Director William Burns. So first and foremost, do you think that he should be William should be investigated based on this?
The what?
You think William Burns should be investigated?
I mean, does it really matter? Because are we going to find out about it?
I mean, we probably not. I mean, the CIA too, like just knowing that, right? The CIA, they can hide people and they can make things look like something certain happened. That's why I say this person supposedly passed back in 2019, because a guy as powerful, or with the evidence that he had on as many powerful people that he had, if they were to take him out, some of that evidence could come to light. I think he would be worth more alive and hidden versus past, and that information possibly seeing the light of day, so to speak.
I mean, what was his girlfriend's name? Maxwell?
Maxine. Something I
can't remember. But she was convicted of all this stuff, and it didn't show up on the news.
Yeah, none of it, dude.
None of it. It's like, what the hell? Like, you're seeing like little segments, but like nothing, in depth. And it's like, hey, man, that's if she's guilty. If you found her guilty, obviously everything else is gonna be true.
Right.
And it's a scary situation, man. That people with so much power and money pretty much can do whatever they want. But
Ghislaine Maxwell. There you go. Thank you so much, Mandy. I appreciate it. What about this? Epstein worked with the CIA to compromise people so they can control them.
Ooh,
that's possible.
Yeah,
that's possible. So also that was on this calendar was Bard College President Leon Botstein, Obama White House counsel Catherine Rumerler, and Professor Noam Chomsky. Now, all these scheduled meetings, and this is what I was saying before, were slated to take place after Epstein was jailed in 2008 on charges of solicitation, including soliciting of a minor. WSJ could not prove each scheduled meeting actually took place, and that's. I was watching the news, right, and people were trying to use this as an excuse, like, "Oh, they were just scheduled. It doesn't mean the meetings took place."
Doesn't matter.
Like that makes it fucking better.
Right? Yeah, like it's already scheduled, bro. Like they should have not scheduled it at all. Like they shouldn't even be talking to this person. Especially with the charges he has.
Exactly. It sounds it's fishy as hell, man. And I don't understand that kind of verbiage when it comes to
not to mention like some of the emails they will send out, like with like the coded words supposedly that they use for these people, like female kids or male kids. That's creepy, man, because it makes sense once you read those emails and stuff. And it's like, whoa, like why is there pizza being delivered at 2 a.m?
Why is there a $85,000 hot dog party in the White House?
Yeah, I'm sure exactly, or I'm sure like some of those emails from a certain Hillary that we know could say a lot, but they're gone.
Well, some of those were leaked, and including that $85,000 hot dog party that occurred at the White House that was supposedly President Obama was just bringing in hot dogs back from Chicago.
That should have. I guess there were some amazing hot dogs.
I don't know, man. I wouldn't be going to no hot dog party.
I don't know that they sell Nathaniel hot dogs at Sam's for like $15. I don't know about $80,000.
Dude, it was insane, man. And so
it's creepy, man. It's real creepy.
It is. I mean, and like I said, this guy he played both sides of the aisle. It's not just one. He had Bill Clinton on his plane. He had Donald Trump on his plane. He's had people from the Obama party at his, on his schedule. So it's not like it's one side or the other. It's both. You know what I'm saying? And so a spokesperson. Well, I'll read this part. It's a spokesperson for Burns who has taken the CIA's helm since 2021 under Biden administration said that the nation's spy chief met with Epstein a decade ago when he was trying to leave the government. So what does that make a difference? Yeah. Like, was he trying to find like a business? Was he trying to go into business with this guy? Is that what he's trying to say? Like, hey, you know what? There was what businesses did Epstein have? Nobody could ever figure out where his money's coming from, right?
Well, I know all I knew was that he was invested in different companies and whatnot, and inside that college, you know.
Right, but
like he's a donor.
Right, but what do you call it? And I saw some Trump was never on his. Well, he may not have been. I saw pictures. There was something that said that he was on the flat logs I read, and if he wasn't, well, then kudos to that guy. But if he was, then you know, the guys, they knew each other. There's pictures of them together, so I don't. That doesn't necessarily mean that he was involved in anything. I'm not going down that road. What all I'm saying is this guy had multiple people in his pocket, right? And when it came to
I think it went all the way to England.
Huh?
I think it went all the way to England.
Yeah. He had some of the royal family. In fact, he was hanging out. I think there's a picture of him in a cabin that belonged to the royals.
Yeah,
and so
that's crazy.
This dude had power and people in his pocket from all around the world, and nobody knows more or less where he started getting his money from. I mean, we can all take a guess and probably partially right there.
There's a reason why the Queen was always mad at Charles.
Yeah. And then not to mention, I mean, this guy also had the painting of a person that looked like George Bush. We ain't going to say that it was President George Bush, throwing paper planes into 2 Jenga towers that were collapsed. So, yeah. And as far as the JP Morgan, we have it right here. This says here, Judge says JP Morgan could be liable for Epstein trafficking if Staley knew about it. So JP Chase and Company could be liable to women who accuse Jeffrey Epstein of sexual abuse if they can show that the former executive, Jess Staley, had firsthand knowledge of the financier, ran a sex trafficking venture. And so if they can prove that they knew, which I think there was been allegations where I think there was like a Miley Cyrus concert or something of that nature. Mm-hmm. And she was like 16 at the time or whatever. She was underage. And one of these persons, and I think it may have been this Staley person, who stated something to the effect like, oh, well, don't tell Jeff about that concert. Right. You know, alluding that he was probably, you know, familiar with young underage women.
Yeah.
And so, you know what? I'm going to look for that because it's not in here. I'm going to find that real quick so we can read that aspect of it.
Cool.
Shouldn't be.
There's so much that they have and they're not telling us on this situation.
Just to get a little off track, but I haven't seen a lot come out from it. There's so many allegations against the guy from Nickelodeon. He was like yeah. I can't remember his name, the director of all these shows.
Yeah, I can't remember his name neither, man. The chubby one, right? They came out in
all that, and
Cat and all that.
Yeah, there's a lot of allegations against him.
Wasn't it Schneider?
I think so.
Was it Dan Schneider? Dan Schneider, was it something like that?
I think so. I'm looking it up.
I think so. Yeah, man. There's a lot of allegations. I mean, even the actress, right? The one that plays was it Sam?
Yeah.
Came out and publicly said it. I believe she has her own podcast. I believe.
Yeah.
And, I mean, there's a lot. There's even pictures that you can tell that like the underage actresses are like not comfortable around them and stuff.
Right.
And it's pretty creepy, man. Let alone like they still like they were being accused of that, and they were still getting gigs. Like they were still getting jobs for Nickelodeon and stuff to make other shows with with kids, you know.
Right.
And it's like I think at one point they found out that one of his like assistants was an offender, and he was trying to like make sure that he wasn't like they didn't know about it, so that way he can give him work.
Yeah, it's Dan Schneider.
Dan Snyder. There you go. See,
everybody's saying that it was verbally abusive, but there's other people coming out with that it was more than verbal abuse.
Yeah.
So this comes from Law and Crime. It states here in one of the bombshell communications disclosed on a Wednesday evening, J.P. Morgan senior executive Mary Erdoes received a message that year, and this is the year in 2008, with referencing Miley Cyrus's Sweet 16 party. Whether Epstein was attending an event with Miley Cyrus. There's no evidence that the joke had any factual basis. Erdoes went on to become the CEO of J.P. Morgan's Assets and Wealth Management, and she admitted in a recent disposition that the bank was aware by at least 2006 that Epstein stood accused of paying cash to have underage girls and young women brought to his home.
That's crazy, man.
So, I mean,
well, apparently, like, I don't know if this is true or not. I don't know if you heard it, but apparently he had like cameras set up everywhere in every room.
Dude,
he used that against the person that was in. You know what I mean? Like to blackmail.
Right.
Sure if that's true or not, but it's kind of I've been hearing that a lot. So
yeah, there's this Law and Order. I know it's a show, but there's a Law and Order show that I saw a while back that touched on this situation. It was a wealthy guy that was getting massages from underage women, and it was very similar to the Epstein case that occurred in 2008, right?
Yeah.
And there they talked about that there was a bunch of cameras there, but a lot of their information is fiction obviously for the show, but some of it is factual. And I think that aspect was that he had cameras and he had recorded all of those situations that he had, and not just in the massage room, but in several rooms, if not all of them. And so
I think that's why he had so much power, so much money too, like having these things against other people higher ups, like high profile people.
Right. Randy Hansen says if Trump was on that island, it would have been broadcasted in Mars. Yeah, that's true. I don't think he was ever at the island. I think he came out on the flight logs for the plane.
Yeah.
That was used. It wasn't so much that he was there at the island. I think he was on the flight logs for Epstein's plane.
Oh man.
Yeah, so there's a lot of big people out there that don't want their names out. So I don't think he unalived himself. I think he had a little hope.
Or if he's actually gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it's funny, because remember when George Floyd happened, it was like the same coroner or the same dude that did Epstein's autopsy. That's weird, right?
Right. That is weird.
I don't know.
It was the flight logs for the Leota Express. So
there it is.
Take that for what it is.
There it is. Huh? Boom, right here.
Oh yeah.
That
dude is. Didn't he become like a citizen of Greece because
they lowered
the.
Yeah, man.
Well, maybe not because I don't want to say because.
Yeah, not because.
Tom Hanks to sue us, but he
couldn't afford
that. He became a citizen of Greece shortly after. There's possible no connection there, but it was just shortly after.
The disclaimer here.
Yeah, everything we say is not true. It's all fiction. Only the names and places have stayed the same.
Yeah, but that was like I mean, I know you don't believe in coincidences, but God, if that was a coincidence, that's a big one.
Yeah. I mean, so this happened in March of 1993 when Trump flew on his plane. Yeah. That was before he was even arrested in 2008.
Yeah.
And so, I mean,
don't bring back anything to get him to be quiet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they've investigated that guy so much that if they found something, he would, it'd be out there.
And you know what I've been seeing on TikTok? I don't know if you've been seeing this too, but they're trying to kind of downplay the files and call them something else, like a minor attractive person or something like that. You see that?
Wait, run that by me again.
They're like, they're saying that it's almost like they're trying to downplay the word PDF.
Oh yeah,
and make them call them maps, right? Like minor attractive person, which is like crazy, dude. It's like they almost seem like they have like a agenda. You know what I mean?
yeah.
To make it like normal, like normalizing it, and that's crazy, man. That's crazy as hell.
I agree, man. I agree 100%. In fact, I think that I don't know how true this is, but I saw this somewhere that the guy that is pushing for gender neutral bathrooms and things of that nature is a registered
offender. He
Um,
quit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of crazy stuff out there, y'all. You know, I don't know how much of it is real. I don't know how much of it's not. I've gone down the rabbit hole, down the cabal a couple of times. Yeah, just I mean, Bohemian Grove is a real place that where rich people would go, and there was an owl god that they would worship. And you know, when Alex Jones went there and bought his camera,
Danny,
I know.
I don't know if you should saying that name around here, man.
But when he went out there and he proved that it was real, they were sacrificing sticks that were the shape of a body, of a woman's body.
Yeah, it was a mock sacrifice.
Right. Do you think that was always wooden sticks, or do you think at one point in history that was real?
I'm sure it was real at one point.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I mean, if it wasn't real, like I know that certain person got sued because of the Sandy Hook thing.
Yeah.
But a lot of the stuff he was totally like saying to the press or in his own podcast, a lot of stuff was true. Like a lot of stuff came out true, and it was like it was kind of like, oh, if that was the case, then what else that he was saying was also the truth.
Right. It was his delivery, man.
Yeah.
he come out like saying the frogs are they're turning the frogs gay.
Yeah.
And they ended up it being true. They were dumping chemicals in certain water plants or certain water areas, and it was turning the frogs into homosexuals. Now, yeah, you're absolutely right. Certain things that he said ended up being super wrong, the Sandy Hook thing and whatnot. And so, but some of the things that he has said, I've seen a meme out there. He went from crazy guy to prophet like within 2 years or something like that.
Yeah, it was crazy.
But moving on from the conspiracy side of things and whatnot, and we'll say that everything that we've said up to that point, especially starting with Epstein to about now, is all conspiratorial, not true, and just our thoughts and opinions for the most part. We have some other news to be talking about, and first one is a little bit sad, or a lot of bit sad, but a little bit something that we have covered. This is a person, Dana Smithers, who went missing just shortly before Bryan Kohberger went to Pullman, Washington. Her body was found. This is from the Pocono Record. Human remains found in Stroudsburg Thursday have been identified of missing persons. Dana Christine Smithers, Monroe County Coroner Thomas Yank conducted an autopsy Monday. A portion of the remains were examined by forensic ontologists who helped confirm the identity of the remains using dental records. So I can assume that she was probably, what's the word I'm looking for, Blue? You know what I'm talking about.
Decomposed.
There it is. That's the word I was looking for. According to Stroud Area Regional Police Department, the cause and the manner of the death are currently undetermined. So this case remains an active and ongoing investigation. It says here on Thursday, April 27th, Stroudsburg Borough employee discovered human remains in a wooded area near the Interstate I-80 east on off ramp at Park Avenue. So I put this on a map. This is where Dana Smithers resided. Now, in her home, they found her keys, her phone. So we can assume that she had, when she had left her friend's house in the early mornings there, the day of the morning of the disappearance, that she made it home, because we watched a Ring video where she had the phone in her pocket, in her hand, as she was walking out. Where her body was found was not very far off. I mean, you're looking at about a 3 to 4 block distance. I mean, it's almost just a straight path down this road right here.
I wonder if they ever took cadaver dogs and did a search.
Right? They would have found that easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. You would assume they would have been able to have found her body. They would have been able to pick up the scent and walk that direction. It's not that far.
Yeah.
And so,
can you zoom in on where the body was found? See how the terrain is?
yeah, it's
Wow,
it's really wooded and it's very valley in there. So there's a drop off right off the edge here.
damn.
And so this street here leads to Park Avenue. This is the I-80 off and on ramp. And
So the cause of death is undetermined
at this point,
Yeah,
it's undetermined. Somebody like, it's a busy area, man. Even if this happened like in the wee hours of the morning, this is a busy interstate. You got to be pretty ballsy to pull over right here and dump a body.
Yeah.
Unless
You'll be
he
surprised,
walked
man.
her there.
You'll be surprised.
All you have to do is pretend you have a flat tire and just open the trunk and chunk.
Or the hood, right? Just car
Yeah.
trouble. Yeah. It's
And
you'll
then
be
at night,
surprised how confident and like fearless some people are,
No, you're right, dude.
They have no sense of like fear of being caught sometimes because they've done it for so long,
that one's got cameras right there.
Yeah, that's what I was pointing at. This one has a camera here facing this street.
I wonder if they have determined a time of death, like how long, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, given the fact that they had to use dental records, is
Tells you that.
yeah, there's probably not that much as far as how long it happened.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you come this direction, you see tire marks here where vehicles have pulled over here in this stopped area.
Yeah.
Could be workers going in there cleaning and things of that nature.
Yeah. Yeah, because even though the interstate's busy during the day, at night they're not that bad. I work at two offices that are next to the biggest highway in San Antonio, and sometimes I'll go out there just to look and see how the weather is, and it's quiet. There's nothing on the highway for a good while. So.
Yeah.
So this is where Bryan Kohberger lived at the time. And I mean, in my opinion, given the close proximity to her house and the close proximity to where the body was found, one person did bring up a situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that thing was maybe Kohberger's MO wasn't, if he was like a serial offender, right? That maybe his MO wasn't to commit these crimes in the house, but at the night of November 13th, it was due to the fact that there was two people in the room with Maddie. It was Maddie and Kaylee, right?
Yeah.
And then it occurred, the crime occurred, and then people heard. And so he may have, let's just say, the possibility could have been that he would have gone into that house and maybe perhaps taken, let's just say, one of the girls, either Maddie or Kaylee, and his MO was to take him to a forested, wooded area and commit the crime there, perhaps somewhere south of Moscow, where he ended up traveling to. And maybe when you look at this case, you look at, I can't remember her name off the top of my head. We covered not too long ago that happened near Hershey's, Pennsylvania, where her phone was found and she was disappeared and her body has still not been located. There was some similarities there.
Yeah.
And so it's a sad situation. Our thoughts and prayers go out to her family. Clearly it was just a horrible situation. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is not the closure that anybody wanted, But it's a beginning of almost like a situation where they have to finally know what actually happened, because even they found her body, but you still don't know what exactly happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But still, it's a step towards closure, but it's still a long road.
I think to some families, it gives them a slight hint of closure because they get to bury the remaining once they're done with the investigation, and have somewhere to like you know go visit every year and leave some flowers at her gravesite. It gives them something
For sure.
to cherish.
Sure.
Yeah.
But if any more information comes out on this case, we'll definitely be bringing it up to you guys. We're not going to just let it go. It's if they find somebody responsible, we'll be bringing it up, or even if they find a suspect, we'll be talking about that.
There's 500 of y'all in here. We need like 100 to hit 36K. So if any of y'all ain't subscribers, subscribe. And I will do a shotgun on Wednesday.
Oh dang!
It's the drink, not the Kurt Cobain one. Yeah, and also like we're gonna be if anything comes out with the neighbor that killed the neighbors, that's gonna what's his name? Can't remember.
On which one?
On the neighbor that went next door and killed the family.
Oh yeah, the one in Texas.
That's still a manhunt right now, so that's the scary part about it. Anybody around the surrounding area, you gotta be on the lookout, man.
Yeah. For sure. Willow says, I think she went out that night to meet a new boyfriend. I don't know, because she went to her friend's house, and that's the Ring house that the Ring caught her leaving. Mm-hmm. She wanted her friend to come over. She had asked if she'd come over and hang out with her a little bit longer, and her friend said no, she was tired. And so I don't know if it's possible maybe after that she got a message or whatever the case may be. But I think there would be evidence of that there'd be a digital footprint of that on her phone if that was the case. Yeah, so I'm not entirely sure, but if there was some sort of communication like through Snapchat, WhatsApp, things of that nature that are encrypted, it's quite possible. It's quite possible. Yeah. So in other news, and final news that we're going to be covering today, Bryan Kohberger claims to have an alibi. This comes from Fox 10 Phoenix. It doesn't say anything other than the fact that it says he claims to have an alibi. And then it goes into the host, Jerry Springer, passing this week. And then it goes here, number 2, Bryan Kohberger defense claims surviving roommate has evidence that would clear him, and documents obtained by Fox Digital News. The subpoena demands the roommate's appearance on June 28, 2 days into Kohberger's planned preliminary hearing, and warns of potential fine if she refuses to appear. Now, I've looked all over the place for possible alibi or whatever he may have said. I haven't seen anything, so I don't know what they're referencing. But I'll go ahead.
But that was going to be that'd be crazy circus if that happens.
Right, and I've been watching a couple of other places that were covering this, and I've seen the comment like, wouldn't they have known of Kohberger's alibi when they arrested him? Not necessarily. I mean, I'm between the time that they were breaking his windows and catching him with his gloves in the kitchen going through trash, I don't think you're asking him many questions there. Now, was he asked questions after the fact, after his arrest? 100%. And in fact, here on Law and Crime, there's an older article. It talks about Bryan Kohberger initially agreed to speak to law enforcement and then revoked his right to counsel. So if you go into this, it says here, Kohberger was taken into custody just before 2 a.m. last Friday at his parents' home in Alsprites, Pennsylvania. All right, so here it comes where it talks about what the lawyer was saying. His lawyer, he says he's calm, he's fully aware, and obviously he is very intelligent. He's already had a master's. It shouldn't shock anyone that he's intelligent, said Jason Labar, chief public defender for Monroe County. So apparently Monroe, this chief public defender thinks highly of Kohberger already. Yeah. Kind of sounds a little bit like how, Ted Bundy kind of persuaded the judge and, charmed the judge in his case.
Yeah. Ted Bundy was a real articulate person. Smart man. Right. I mean, he could have got away with it if it wasn't for him biting someone. That's true.
That's true. So this says here, this goes on to say Kohberger just had completed first 2 semesters as a PhD student, or his first semester, not 2, I'm sorry, as a PhD student studying criminal justice and criminology at Washington State University in Pullman when he was taken into custody. Labar told Law Crimes' Agnette Levi that Kohberger spoke with law enforcement for 5 to 15 minutes. Now, that's a big difference in time, especially when you're talking with somebody. I would assume it's probably the shorter distance, given this guy's intelligence. I put that in quotations, and his knowledge of criminal justice. So at the Pennsylvania State Police Barracks following his arrest last Friday morning. Initially, Kohberger waived his Miranda rights, but then requested an attorney. Labar said Kohberger told him that police asked his client if he understood what was going on, and he responded by saying something to the effect, "Yes, certainly, I'm aware of what's going on. I'm 10 miles away from this." Then Labar said Kohberger invoked his rights to counsel and asked for an attorney. So there's something in here that I wanted to show you guys, because it talks about, all right, right. So it says Kohberger arrived in Pennsylvania in mid-December. Labar said his father flew to Washington to make a drive back with his son, and what Labar said was a trip planned before the start of the school year. So a lot of people have been asking about that. Was it planned? Was it not? We've been saying that it was planned for a while. We had seen these reports, but it was planned before the school year started. Labar said that father and son left Pullman sometime between December 13th and 16th in an effort to beat the incoming snowstorm. Bryan isn't denying he was in Pullman through mid-December. He said he also said that he assumes law enforcement has his GPS data available through his mobile phone. And so is that the alibi? Is he trying to say that, hey, check out my phone pings, even though we know that his phone was off during the time? Maybe perhaps there's a way to still recuperate that data, even though the phone is off or whatnot, and he's trying to use those pings as a possibility, or data from his mobile phone as his alibi. Yeah,
because even though the PTA they did put it there that it rang or it pinged that he was there, but they knew for a fact that he wasn't in that town at the time, right?
Right, on the 14th.
Yeah,
you're absolutely right.
This could be interesting.
Right. I was reading through this, and he said he assumes law enforcement has his GPS data. And so if he's assuming that and he knows this, and he's, that might be that alibi that he's looking for, because up to this point, they'll have his pings from a cell phone towers from his warrant. But once they get the phone and they get to go through all the other GPS data that's involved in there, it's a little bit more accurate and more it's a different tool. It's not the same thing that you get. Right, it's more detailed, and it's not something that you would be able to get from, like, for instance, in my opinion, no, I'm not a forensic person. I never did that, but I'm assuming, and also I haven't been in law enforcement in over a decade, so I'm assuming that you're probably not able to get that information without the phone in hand, right? There's only a certain amount of information that you can get. And I'm assuming that he's thinking that this information could potentially be his alibi. I'm not saying that's the case, but he did talk to police. He informed them that he was there through mid-December. He knew about the situation. And states that he assumes that law enforcement has his GPS data available through his mobile phone. So I don't know. I saw this and I thought I'd bring this up to you guys because of the fact that there was the claims of an alibi, and going through everything, this is the only thing that I could find that could point anywhere towards that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, the gag order is in effect, but even with that, there's still information coming up. So I'm hopeful we hear something about this alibi. Shine some more light on this.
Well, I mean, they're all talking to Bethany now. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't think that she's his alibi, because that would put him at that house, and that's not a very good alibi. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't think about that aspect. But if he's saying that he was with somebody else or somewhere else, and that maybe perhaps he has a history of doing the things that he was doing that night, which was driving around random hours, long distances with his phone off. Yeah. We knew he did it the next day because it's in the probable cause affidavit. Perhaps he did it, if he did it before, like multiple times before the incident and multiple times afterwards, then I don't think you can really use that trip. Yeah. I think it helps him. It shows a pattern.
A habit.
Right, exactly. And so this goes on to say, a man who attends DeSales University in Pennsylvania with Kohberger during their undergraduate studies recalled a tall, awkward student who often spoke over professors in a superior manner. You know, there's a lot of conflicting stories that he was like this jerk and asshole that thought he was smarter than everybody. And then I think there was his Kohberger's boss from when he was a security guard came forward saying that he was really respectful and was always at work and was somebody that you could depend on. And so I just thought I'd throw that out there. So this guy says, words can really describe my shock. It's pretty unreal. He added that he noticed a slight change in Kohberger's appearance from their undergraduate years. He's definitely looked sort of gaunt and emancipated at this point, a little older. The former classmate described how he remembered Kohberger in classes. He was definitely an awkward figure, very tall and skinny. He added that the desks at DeSales were somewhat so small, Kohberger, who stands about 6 foot tall, barely fit in small desks. He said that he viewed Kohberger as an outcast because he was clearly somebody who was very interested in criminal justice in a deep way, but didn't take part in extracurricular activities. I think this is this dude. Oh God, I can't remember his name, but he's on TikTok also. And he was like, I know Kohberger. I was his partner or in DeSales. Sounds like a lot of the same stuff he was saying.
I think I was on one of his lives, I believe.
Yeah. This sounds very much like the words that he was using and some of the things he was saying.
I believe he has his own podcast too. So
yeah. I'd asked him if he wanted to come on the show. He denied. I think it's you. That's in this article, not anything else. Yeah. And so it goes, he's definitely articulate, but stuck on minor details and pointing out flaws in what professors were saying. Sometimes he made good points. There were times people were like, can you please shut up so we can move on? It's not really relevant. And so.
Yeah, the other thing everybody still talking about the DNA. I mean, he had a receipt from Amazon purchasing the knife, right?
No.
In the sheath.
No.
For the knife. It was Amazon.
There was an Amazon search warrant looking and inquiring for people that had ordered a knife in a sheath.
Yeah, that's certain brand, right? I believe.
Right. Yeah, but
right. I thought we went through there that it was on the receipt that they found in his apartment.
No, they found a receipt, I believe, but I think he bought I know he was like Dickie pants and stuff like that, right?
No, well, they found a Dickie tag. They found a tag and they found a receiit, but they didn't ever specify what was on the receipt.
But they did mention a knife being found. I don't know if it was at his residence or his residence or his mom's residence.
It was his mom's residence.
Yeah, I think it was like two knives, I believe.
The first thing that they said that they found was just the knife. Now, I think that a lot of those warrants were just trying to track down anybody. And that's many of them, because if we look at the timeline real quick, November 29th is when they're on to Kohberger. December 7th is when they have, they put out the alert for a 2011 to 13 Hyundai Elantra. He drove a 16. They never changed that. December 19th is when the vehicle in Eugene, Oregon is found, right? And it was crashed. In the Howard Bloom article, he talks about how Chief Fry was excited about that vehicle and they thought they found their dude. Mm-hmm. Ended up not being the case. December 23rd is when they finally pull Kohberger's GPS data from his phone for a search warrant. Now they go from November 29th to December 23rd to do that. My opinion, and you hear about them looking at the car in Eugene. That tells me that Kohberger was not prime suspect number one. You know, I think when Kohberger fled, or in their opinion, when he left, they probably thought he was fleeing. Yeah. That's what redirected them back to Kohberger. That's when they decided to look into his criminal, his background. They find out that he did stuff in in forensics and technology forensics and cloud forensics and things like that. And that's when they decided to pull the warrant, which I'll be honest with you, I don't think that's enough to pull the warrant, given his schooling, his studying, and those type of things are not a reason to do that. And they even put it in their probable cause affidavit that sometimes people who commit crimes will turn their phone off or whatever. That's not necessarily just criminal justice majors. That's anybody in general that commits a crime. And so my opinion, I think there's a problem there. Now, there's been a motion that has come out, and that's going to be on the May 25th. And this is that. Now, we talked here recently about what this motion could be. We come to find out that it is referencing the Gonsalves motion to appeal, amend, or clarify amend the non-dissemination order, the gag order. So we found out what this motion is for. It's for the gag order. Now, I got a question for you guys. Why do you, what I don't understand why the Gonsalves family want to talk so bad.
Well, I mean, he was talking from the beginning, so.
No, I understand that, but why now? Like, do they not think it's the right guy?
That's hard to say, man. I mean, I know. Was it Steve, right?
Yeah, Steve.
Steve's
father.
Yeah, I know he was criticizing the police in the very beginning, and all of a sudden he changed his tune at one point.
Right.
So I don't know. That could be something, but I just don't know. I really don't know, man.
I don't understand the need to want to be in the public eye to talk so much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in my opinion, like unless you're trying to defend somebody, like maybe perhaps the boyfriend, Jack DeCore, maybe they feel they need to defend him and they want to talk about.
Well, they were pretty adamant about that.
Yeah, they were very adamant that he wasn't involved.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I can't think of a reason that they want to talk so bad, like outside of that. Unless they don't think it's the right guy.
That's probably the only reason, but I don't know if that's the case, though. I mean, it could be several different situations, too, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask you, okay, so you were saying that they pulled the warrant, right? The arrest warrant, because Kohberger fit the description. He had the criminal justice background and all that. Okay, so if that's not enough to arrest them, everything else that they found is thrown out, right? They can't use that against them, right? Because it wasn't warranted, right?
But run that by me one more time.
You're saying that they arrested him because he had the background and he had background in criminal justice. He fit the physical profile of the person, and had the similar card to it, right? To the suspect, right?
Right, and then they also have the fact that he turned his phone off during the commission of the crime.
And he turned off his phone. But I'm saying, like, if that wasn't enough, to get in the arrest warrant, right? If that wasn't enough, it comes out that's not enough to get the arrest warrant. Everything else that happened or they found, you can't use that, right?
Correct. So that's called the fruit of the poisonous tree. So anything found out of something illegal can't be used after the fact. And so
I see, it's almost like this guy got pulled over. The cop had no reason to search him. They searched him, ended up finding drugs. Is that
right?
And there was no reason for the search, so that got thrown out. It's like that, right? Like it would be the same exact thing, even if it was incriminating too, right?
Yeah, it wouldn't matter. Like, for instance, I'll give you guys a pretty good example of what fruit of the poisonous tree is. So let's just say that you have an officer that gets word that there's a vehicle in front of them that is possibly having narcotics inside of it. Well, they need to pull the vehicle over. Now, just having that information is not probable cause to pull that vehicle over. You have to see a crime be committed. That officer doesn't have a crime committed in his presence or view during that time. And let's just say the car is about to pull into a shop, right? And he decides to knock it down right there. Boom, light him up, gets on there, finds 13 kilos of cocaine, right? come to find out, there's no probable cause for that stop. That obviously the person doesn't get his cocaine back, but he gets no charges. And so everything found out of the commission of that stop is done for. So if they got something that was improper or wrong or didn't have enough evidence for, so let's just say the phone pings, right? If they didn't have enough for the phone pings, that's going to be that's going to make things difficult, very difficult, because out of that phone ping, you got so there's two aspects out of this. You have the phone pings, and you also have the DNA on the sheet that they were able to tie back into Kohberger. So you don't necessarily need the phone pings to arrest Kohberger. You can utilize the DNA on the sheath. Same thing goes vice versa. You don't necessarily need the DNA on the sheath if you can validate the phone pings and everything else that goes around the suspicious aspect of him being in the area, having his phone off, the whole 9 yards, right? And so, see you later, Blue. Appreciate it. He's got to go to work. And so you have those two aspects going on. Now, the tricky part happens what if both of those things get thrown out? Like, what the hell do you have? You don't have anything on this guy.
Nada.
And so, that's a pretty good possibility there. So, in the DNA, like, I'm not a defense attorney. I've never been one, but if I would say that there is an argument to throw both of those pieces of information out. What's going on, Sleuthy Goosey? She does great work, y'all. If y'all aren't following Sleuthy on Twitter, you need to. She brings out a lot of these court documents that we have talked about. And so, I feel like you can throw out the phone pings, because just because he's got a background in criminal justice isn't enough to violate his rights. Just because he drives a vehicle that is a similar make and model, and not the same that they had put out there. You have to remember, they put out there and they never changed it, 2011 a 13-watt Elantra. That's what they were looking for. That's what they said was the vehicle. So, and you have a pretty it's not a very trusting description, and like not something you can use. It's not very concrete. There was no identifying marks. Dylan didn't say she saw a tattoo, scar, disfigurement of some kind, like his ear was cut, things of that nature. None of those things were described.
At least.
Right. It was solely just a description of his height and weight, his build, and the bushy eyebrows. So those things all together don't equal out to me to be enough. I think a good defense attorney can get those things thrown out. Yeah. And then you also have the aspect of the liability or the reliability of those things. You have on November 14th, in the probable cause affidavit, it alone says that he picked up on a tower in Moscow, and they don't believe that he was there for whatever reason. And so that can be thrown out. Now, when you look at the DNA aspect of it, if we are to believe what Howard Bloom is putting out there, right? He had the Airmail article where he described the DNA as a speck, being a small piece of DNA, very small, tiny. And then he comes out on, I think it's Megyn Kelly's podcast, and he talks about that Idaho lab couldn't find anything and that it was sent out to Texas. Those are things that, in my opinion, can bring up some doubt there about the reliability of the evidence there.
Of touch DNA, yeah.
And so what do you have? You probably can pull up the fact that this guy's attempted to make contact with the victims on several occasions due to their phones. You still got the video of a vehicle leaving Pullman, Washington at before the commission of the crimes and arriving an hour after the crime had committed. Yeah. That you can use the video canvassing that they had, the video surveillance that they had. Those are the things that I see that they have against this guy, that they can keep. The rest of it, it's not as strong as a lot of people are thinking. And my thing is too, and this description that they were saying, like how he would focus in on the minor details of things, right? And if he's focusing in on these minor details and even arguing with his professors about little details, I would assume that if he planned this, he'd be very detailed about it. Right. So, I don't know. I would like to think that the police are doing this right, but there are so many things that occur that come out of this that has me questioning some things. I mean, you have the subpoena for Bethany Funke. The next day, you have the Brady Giglio and a request for more discovery from the defense. I don't like coincidences. You know,
not to mention that there was a lot of people before the cops got there in their house. Too. And not alone, the cops also contaminated the scene too, by not wearing anything, protective gear.
For sure. Mikey S comes in saying even less if the scene is deemed contaminated or compromised. Thank you. That's exactly what you just said. $5.50 super chat. We appreciate you, Mikey. And Mikey's the one who sent me this information as well, alongside a few of you guys. Sent me this information about the subpoena. I mean, the motion that was finally released. I don't know, man. This case just keeps getting crazier and crazier. In my opinion, I don't think it's as shut and closed with the evidence that we have now. Now, if they end up finding DNA in the vehicle, right? That's a different story. That's a different story. And so, but that's if they're able to get to it. I mean, that arrest warrant came based off of this information. But we've gone over an hour and a half here, man. It's a little bit longer than we're used to. So But do you have any final words before we let everybody go?
All I know, man, is like I said before, it's gonna be a circus come trial, even the preliminary hearings and stuff, And hopefully we'll be out there. You never know.
Yeah, we might go out there. I don't know if we'll go out there for the preliminary stuff.
Yeah.
But the actual case itself, we're going to do our best to be out there. We might send Blue out there for the preliminary things.
Everybody likes him.
Everybody, they look at him and they know that he's
jolly.
He's jolly. And so it is what it is. Let us know in the comment section if you guys are watching this on the replay, what you guys think about these motions and what you guys think about Bryan Kohberger's supposed alibi. I don't know what it could be. In his conversations with law enforcement, he brings up his phone ping. So maybe perhaps that's what it is.
Yeah, for sure.
With that being said, I'm Daniel. This is Hyman. Big Blue's already out of here. We're going to be leaving you guys with, we'll see you guys on Wednesday. No show tomorrow morning. I have a doctor's appointment, so I won't be able to make it. But y'all have a good night.
Later, man.